Good morning, 5 a.m. and this is the scene overnight across the Brazos Valley. Snow falling and some moisture as well of the unfrozen variety that is now on the ground and freezing, making travel extremely treacherous on this very snowy white Friday. We appreciate you being with us for this early start to Brazos Valley this morning. I'm Steve Fullhart.
I'm Barbara Smith. We do thank you for joining us. We have decided to extend things a bit this morning so that we can make sure we get the most information to you to help you make some better decisions today.
The truck driver tried to avoid the car, and then a couple of other cars skidded off the road as well. Fortunately, everyone involved walked away from that accident uninjured.
We've gone from freezing rain to snow, back over to freezing rain. It's that freezing rain really that's making things difficult. But let's go ahead and take a look at the radar screen. Here's what we have going on. You notice that big green swath of moisture moving our way. We actually are seeing some light freezing rain, light freezing drizzle, freezing mist here in Bryan and College Station, but it is getting a little bit heavier back off across towards our western counties.
And then it changed over to all snow around midnight, but then about 1 o'clock it changed back to some freezing drizzle, and that's what of course led to that icy layer that you were talking about.
That's right. We're looking over downtown Bryan. You can see on those roadways it is covered in white, so one, you're not going to be able to see the lines on the road, Bob, but two, as you mentioned, that's actually covering up that thin layer of ice. You're out there, you're in the elements. Tell us how it is outside.
Well, we're still seeing the freezing rain coming down here outside the KBTX studios. Now, we did see the snowfall earlier this morning. That has since changed back over to freezing rain and drizzle. And of course, that is making the roadways much more treacherous.
I drove about half speed this morning at two intersections when I was making turns to come in. I lost traction on the car and slid off. And again, to Bob's point, there is snow on the ground, but that is covering up a layer of the rain that first came in this morning, which is frozen over, so underneath that snow, which may look somewhat safe to drive on, very, very slick conditions.
And we heard from Bob Kohler from TxDOT this morning before we went on the air. He says across the region, everything is frozen. Do not get out there if you don't have to. Those bridges and roads may not thaw out until noon today.
Showing you the radar screen, though. Now we have a good swath, a good band of snow moving through portions of the Brazos Valley. A hefty amount now, pushing up through Leon County towards the I-45 corridor, over around, say, Centerville, back over towards Marquay and Jewett. In fact, we have Bob French over in the Weather Center right now running the radar for us.
Well, the snow is really starting to come down out here this morning. We're live in College Station for you, and you know it's not often we see weather like this, but when we do, bridges and overpasses are the first to ice over, and that's why TxDOT crews were working throughout the night to pour sand on those roadways.
TxDOT officials are urging you do not drive if you don't have to.
And if there's any indicator that you need as far as the severity of the conditions out on the road, we were just hearing through the National Weather Service from the Houston Transportation Authority that there is a 10 car pileup at Highway 290 and Highway 6. That's in Hempstead, where the old Lawrence Marshall and the Frazier's facility, the Frazier store is. 10 car pileup there in Waller County. So please be aware of that. Also, 9 wrecks so far this morning reported on 290 alone down as you go towards Houston.
All the snow is actually lifting to the northeast, but this band of snow is actually clearing from the west off towards the east. So you folks in Cameron, your snow is actually coming to an end. It's probably lightening up right now. Give it about another half hour to about, say, an hour. You may see some flurries after that.
We've got our thermometer now reading just under 25 degrees, so incredibly cold as you're stepping outside. Make sure you're dressed warmly. Also, you may want to shorten the dog walking today. I'm sure they're going to be cold, and a lot of them have never seen snow before either.
We had this morning story about a 4-car incident, including an 18-wheeler that's already taken place out on Highway 6 by a New York driver coming down to Houston. If that tells you anything, here's the issues that we're dealing with.
That's right. Also, if you, for whatever reason, have any plans to fly out today, or if you have people flying in, you're going to want to check with the airlines, because I know Continental has canceled flights until at least noon. Southwest, I believe, was canceling into Houston Hobby also.
News 3's Michael Oder is live at an overpass at 1179 and Highway 6. So, Michael, what are the conditions like out there?
Well, Crystal, I can tell you that those roads that were once frozen in the early morning hours and even through about the 8 o'clock hour, they're now starting to thaw up, and they're now starting to turn into slush. And that's, of course, making driving conditions still pretty dangerous out there. I'm going to step back and let you look at the intersection here. This overpass goes across Highway 6, and of course, TxDOT crews have been out all day looking for what they call cold spots. Cold spots. And those are, of course, bridges and overpasses that are most likely to freeze up.
Around the Bryan-College Station area, we've had about 1 to 2 inches of snowfall. In South Texas, that's enough to call it a snow day. But as News 3's Alex Villarreal tells us, for the unlucky folks that had to go to work, getting there is a problem in itself.
I don't think I'm staying.
If only we were all lucky enough to have a snow day. Overnight, a 1-inch blanket of snow fell onto Bryan-College Station.
It's the first time I think I've ever seen it frozen over so hard.
On their way to work, this group lost control and ended up in some trees.
And you guys are all okay?
Oh, yes. A little shaky. Not so much worried for my life, but yeah, it was a little. I was worried for my truck.
Highway 6 at Woodville Road is closed due to a single vehicle accident involving an 18-wheeler. Traffic is being diverted to the frontage road. And a road advisory has been issued for FM 2818 between Sandy Point Road and Mumford Road. Taking a live-eye look now over Kyle Field, classes at Texas A&M are officially canceled today. That's the same for Sam Houston State University. Hazardous road conditions have shut down operations there. KBTX medical contributor Dr. Alan Zanakis is here to talk about that and much more. Dr. X, many of our viewers are asking, in these cold temperatures, will be getting sick? Is it automatic?
Yeah, no, we hear that all the time. With cold comes more bugs. Not true. What happens is we dry out our respiratory system. That increases our chance for being able to have bugs. So the bottom line is drink until you pee. You hear me say that all the time on KBTX. True. Drink until you pee.
Big low pressure system came through the state. Here's what we had going on. About 6 to 7 inches of snow up around Dallas. They were only expecting an inch or two of snow. We saw snow as well as ice here in town, and it's pretty much all ice down around Houston. In fact, the tollways, most of the freeways were shut down over in Houston.
The sunshine has warmed up the roadways themselves, and most all of the ice that was on the roads and bridges and overpasses has melted. Most of that has evaporated, but any wet spots remaining tonight will refreeze.
Easterwood Airport has joined the list of airports that have shut down to the intense weather conditions. Airlines have had to cancel thousands of flights. Continental Airlines trimmed its service yesterday at Bush Intercontinental. News 3's Clay Falls was on campus to see how they were playing in that winter wonderland.
The weather wasn't frightful enough to keep thousands of Aggies from playing in the snow Friday, like sophomore Zaid Siddiqui.
We've been awake since all night, actually, and around 10 o'clock it started snowing a little bit. We had a mini snowball fight in our parking lot, and then after that, we came back inside in the apartment.
There was also time for some snow angels from the kids and Company A1.
First one of the year. There's a lot of snow at home. I'm going home this afternoon. There's a lot of snow at my house.
And a reminder that our web channel is your source for continuing coverage of the Arctic blast. You can find the latest information in a blog from the News 3 weather team, along with a photo slideshow from your pictures that you have sent in. And a look at our Live Eye network. That's all on KBTX.com.
This morning when I was out at 6 a.m., roads were covered with snow. They were packed down with ice. They were very treacherous for drivers who were trying to make a morning commute on this Friday. So we take a look at the intersection here at 1179 Briarcrest at Highway 6. You'll see that the road is much more dry, much more clean. Not all that slush is out of the way. That's a big part to TxDOT, who's been out spreading the material over roads and overpasses like this one here. If you kind of look in, you see it looks dusty, it looks dirty. That's the material that TxDOT's been spreading.
Drivers across the Brazos Valley did their best to battle the frozen streets. But as the day went on and temperatures went up, more drivers started hitting the roads. Tyler Fawcett thought he had avoided all the chaos.
Earlier, everyone was slipping and sliding around, and I was playing in the snow, and I just experienced a little ice patch right here.
The remaining patches of ice were turning to slush as the temperature rose.
Filling up the tank, don't want to run out of gas on the on the highway with the roads like this, you know.
Cameron Schaefer is headed to Houston.
Yeah, last night the roads started freezing up real bad, and so we just took it easy this morning and waited till about, I guess, 11 or 12 when the road started thawing out.
But a few braved the cold to go and have a little fun. News 3's Shane McAuliffe shows us what Highway 6 looked like in this Arctic blast.
It was slow going for Brazos Valley drivers Friday morning. Very slow going. Ice ice covered the roads in southern Brazos on into Grimes County. Highway 6 looked like a desolate Alaskan highway, but a few drivers still braved the icy conditions. Others took to the hills to do a little sledding. The sled wasn't really required.
We are loving the snow and loving the snow day.
Live. Severe or winter weather that we've got going on in the Brazos Valley. It looks like we've got a serious icing situation developing.
Local.
The possibility of a couple inches of ice and snow on the roadways that could cause some tricky travel out there.
On top of breaking weather.
We've seen several near losses of control with the cars. And again, we just can't stress enough how careful you need to be if you do have to be on the roads.
When severe weather threatens, turn to News 3 and KBTX.com.